Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
Hello my friends and welcome to a new video. This video, as the title has suggested, is going to be about the new Harry Potter HBO series and the bit of controversy that we're seeing come around because of some casting choices that they're purporting to make.
No! No!
But I wanted to discuss this anyway because full disclosure, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I became aware of the books probably around book 3 or book 4's release. That's when my wife kind of brought them to me. She knows I'm kind of a fantasy fiction kind of genre guy. I also like a book series called Michael They. If you've ever got a chance, it's a young adult book series. And I enjoy those type of books. We got into them when we were fairly newly married, and so it's just me and her, and she'd read to me as we were going to sleep. I think maybe we had our first child, which is my oldest child is my son. So we might have had one of our kids at that point. But so she would read them to me, and then we really got into them, and I started buying them on audiobook.
How can you be deaf with ears like that?
Because as a truck driver, I would take them and I would listen to them on the road, and I love audiobooks. I really do. My one wish is that Adega Outlaw would put all of his books on audiobooks, because I love Adega's books. They're so good. If you don't know who Adega Outlaw is, go look him up on YouTube. He does read his own books, but it's not an actual audiobook that like you could download through Audible or whatever. And so I hope someday he can get that done.
Fine.
And stuff, because he does a good job reading them. But he does a show every Sunday night, so that's like a little bit of a plug for my buddy Adega Outlaw. He does some great books. They're very, very well written. Anyway, but back to Harry Potter. Like I said, I was a huge fan of Harry Potter. I thought the movies were okay. To me, it seemed like, especially the first one. The first one I think was my favorite. The second one was pretty good. The third one was absolutely atrocious. I hated the third movie. It was terrible. They used an Asian director that I don't think he'd done very much in things outside the Asian market, and it was very dark and very. It ends really weird. I mean, it just that movie was just a terrible adaptation of that book. That book is one of the best books in the series. I mean, they're all good, but The Prisoner of Azkaban was just a really great book. You get introduced to Harry's godfather. There's just a great story there. And so I was really disappointed with that film and the way they chose to make that film. And then they kind of followed that trend through the rest of the films. One of the other reasons I don't like the other Harry Potter films as much is because of Michael Gambon. Michael Gambon replaced... I just lost his name. There was 2 actors that played Dumbledore in the movies. The first 2 were done by Richard Harris. There it is. I knew it was rolling around in there somewhere. Richard Harris. When Richard Harris played Dumbledore like Dumbledore. He actually looked at the character, looked at the way the books wrote him, and he was that character. Richard Harris was a fantastic Dumbledore. And then Michael Gambon got cast when Richard Harris passed away. And Michael Gambon, he's not the worst actor in the world, but every role he plays the same person, Michael Gambon.
Wow, that was something else. I really like the way you smiled at the end. Let's try this one more time, but a teensy bit less like a zombie, okay?
He doesn't know how to act. He only knows how to act like Michael Gambon. He takes whatever character he's been assigned and he makes that person Michael Gambon. It's Michael Gambon playing Dumbledore as Michael Gambon. And so I never cared for Michael Gambon as an actor. He seemed like a funny, nice guy in real life. I've watched some interviews with him and stuff, and he seems very funny. But he's just like he does not know how to to act like the character. He tries to make every character like himself. And you can't do that. You have to become the character. Otherwise, anyway, I can go off on that for hours because every time he was in the movies, I got irritated because he manhandles students, which, in the books, like, he would never, ever, the character of Dumbledore would never manhandle one of these students. He'd never grab Harry and shake him and be all aggressive. And in fact, he gets mad at other people if they touch his students like that. And so I really struggled with that.
It makes me just want to pick up whoever is standing closest to me and just throw them through this window and out into the infinite abyss of nothingness. I want to do it so bad.
I know you do, sir.
But so when I heard that they were going to come out with a series, I thought that is great, because there are certain book series that you really need to do them in a long format. You cannot do them in movie form, or if you do, you're not going to be able to do them justice unless you make every book a double film, and give it 4 to 6 hours for every book. And even then, sometimes you're going to cut. But see, in the films, they spend a lot of time on the effects. Like, I got so tired of the special effects for the Whomping Willow, because I'm like, you know what, that tree's important, like, in 2 of the books. The rest of the time, it's not really that important to the integral to the story. And they would cut out characters and cut out a whole bunch of stuff and whole chunks of the books and stuff, and then they'd put like a 2 or 3 minute chunk of the Whomping Willow flicking birds and I'm just like, you cut this person so that you could have special effects shots. I'm just like, and it's one of the things that bugs me about Hollywood is when they cater to the special effects warehouses, where they're more interested in the visual spectacle than they are in the story.
Oh, that's an image I'll never get out of my brain.
The story should always be first and foremost, should always be the main driving thing. This is going to lead into what we're going to talk about with the casting. This is also the problem with modern casting, is that they cast people not based on what they look like in the books, the descriptions that are given in the books, the lore that is set up around them. It's the same thing they've done with the Rings of Power, where they made elves black, and the Harfoots have different races within the Harfoot, and it's just like, these people never read Tolkien, because if they did, they'd never casted these choices like this. And I'm just tired of modern sensibilities bleeding into historical works.
Oh, shit.
Or works that were written in a certain way, describing characters at a certain... It was like Tom Cruise playing Jack Reacher.
Because of what?
No. Jack Reacher's 6'5", built like a brick shithouse, and Tom Cruise is none of those things. He's a good actor, but he's not Reacher. So those films, which the first one was actually okay, but he never lived up to that character because he's just not the right build. He's not the right person for that character. And so it didn't work. And it's the same way with everything. You have to, the person who wrote the books did it for a specific reason. Now, I heard somebody else comment on one of their videos that nobody else has screwed with J.K. Rowling's work as much as J.K. Rowling has screwed with her work. And I agree somewhat with that description. She waited till after the very last book, The Deathly Hallows, and the books had already sold, everything had gone out, and only then did she tell everybody that Dumbledore was gay.
Darn!
Okay, Dumbledore's not gay. I don't care what J.K. Rowling says, because she never had the courage to put that in the books. Okay, and if you don't put it in the books, I don't care. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in your opinion after the fact. You should have told everybody beforehand, but she didn't, because she wanted to play both sides. She wanted to get all the book sales that she could possibly get and try and be as non-offensive as possible. And once she wrote the books and made all this money, then she tried to play the political, middle ground and stuff like that. And, and then now everybody hates her because she's kind of an anti-transgender person. Not anti-transgender, she's pro-woman. which that's the camp I'm in. I'm pro-woman. Stop trying to delete women. Stop trying to make women men. Stop trying to fill up women's spaces with men. Men already have their own spaces. We don't need, anyway, that's a discussion for another day. But I mean, so the problem is here, and there's a long way to get around to the point that everybody else is talking about, but I wanted to discuss some of those things before we get to that. My problem with this casting a black guy as Severus Snape. If you have not heard that, you've probably been in a cave for a while, because everybody's talking about it. Everybody's making videos about Snape being turned black. The same way that they've kind of discussed how Hermione was turned black in the stage production of the I can't remember what's called, The Poison Prince or something. Anyway, something like that. That was a stage play that J.K. Rowling wrote. The Cursed Child, The Poison Prince. Anyway, it was The Cursed Child, and it's just like, you know what? No, I'm sorry. You never talked about specifically talked about Hermione being black. Now, does that mean Hermione can't be black? Yeah, it does in my book. If you don't specifically talk about it, now it's like the Patel twins. Now, just by the name and the way they're described in the books, you kind of get the feel that they're an Indian twins couple, and that's the way they portrayed them in the movies, and I had no problems with that. One of the other, I can't remember one of the other main characters. Well, she's not a main character, but she's one of the characters from Gryffindor. That's the Alicia, I think. I can't remember. Anyway, she's one of the people on the Gryffindor team for Quidditch, and she gets portrayed as black in the movies, and I didn't care, because I'm like, whatever. That's they don't really talk about her race. They don't really give any kind of allusions to that, so I don't have a problem with that. The same thing, somebody was saying that they're possibly going to cast a black guy as Mad-Eye Moody. Now, I don't particularly have a problem with that, because I don't remember anything in the book specifically stating that he was a white person. I mean, and so it's like, okay, that's not really that's not really a thing that would be a problem for me. I think Whitaker, can't think of his name, is being considered for Mad-Eye Moody, which would be fine. He's a fine actor, and I don't think that there's a problem with that, because he's not really a main character. I mean, he is a fairly important person in the Order of the Phoenix, but overall, he's not a main character. So, except for in one of the books where he is kind of part of it. So, and that's the I'm losing my train of thought here. The Goblet of Fire is where Mad-Eye Moody is really introduced, and we meet him, and so. But I don't have a problem with that. But if you wanted to try and make, say, Lockhart a black guy, that would not work, because he is not described as a black guy. He's not specifically not stated as a black guy, but all I'm saying is these are English characters, okay? And English is a predominantly white culture. They have been predominantly white. They were kind of the preeminent white culture for ever and ever and ever. And it has only been in the modern day where they have allowed a large amount of immigration to come into England and change the makeup of their country. They were a predominantly white country, and so most of the characters in Harry Potter really should be portrayed as white, because that's the predominant race. It's the same thing in the U.S. When I have these shows where it's like they've got 3 black people, 3 white people, 2 Asians, and whatever, and it's just like, that's not the genetic. That is not the makeup of the United States. They should try and keep that makeup. Or if you're doing a story in New York, use the New York breakdown of black, white, Asian, Hispanic peoples to try and fill your story. And I don't have a problem with that, because especially if it's a modern thing, if it's of a former time, then you have to go back to that period of time and see, all right, what were the groups of people that were here predominantly, to make this accurate. That's all I really want. I just want historically accurate, historically correct, These books were written in the early 2000s, end of the 90s, 2000s. So what was the breakdown of population in the UK for black, white, Indian, Pakistani, Hispanic, whatever? And then you kind of cast that way, and you'd see that mix much more amongst the kids than you're going to see it amongst the teachers and stuff. Not necessarily, but so I just stop trying to cram things in that don't belong.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Severus Snape was described very much in these books. They are very specific about Severus Snape. He's talked about being sallow-skinned. He's talked about that he turns white or green. You've heard this in some of the other videos. Just stop it. Stop trying to change things. Just to stir the pot, just to cause problems, just to make waves and show how progressive you are. And it's just knock it off. Knock it off. Just be straight with the story. That's all. And I don't mean straight as in straight. I mean just be true to the story. Stop trying to get brownie points with certain political groups or show how progressive you are and you know what? All that crap needs to be completely deleted out of storytelling. And you need to try and be accurate. You need to try and give people what they expect to see. Stop trying to subvert expectations for everything when the expectations are reasonable.
Nice pants. Lose the cigar. Oh, you better burn that shirt, sailor. It's the crew from hell.
Don't subvert people's expectations just to do it. If you're going to do it, you better have a dang good reason for it. And not be trying to mess around with somebody's perceptions just because you think you're being clever. I love Harry Potter, and now because of this mess, I don't know that I'll watch the series, and maybe that'll be my loss. But I just finished watching the baking show that Harry Potter, the twins that played the Weasley twins. The actors who played them actually did this cooking show, Wizards of Baking and stuff, and I thought it was great. I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. I thought the way they did it was very interesting, and I had a lot of fun watching that show. And so, that's how much Harry Potter, I like Harry Potter. I like it when they do stuff. I like it when she kind of adds to the world and they make different things and how popular it's become and what a good story it was. And, the story of friendship and right and wrong and good and evil and why you do and don't do things. And you don't just kill somebody to get even with them and stuff that you try and save them. There's a lot of nuance in the Harry Potter story, especially with the character of Snape. Snape is a very complicated character. He seems very surface level for a long time, but there is so much depth to Snape. And Alan Rickman was so fantastic in that role. And to see it go to somebody just for some shock value, not even because he's going to be the best person to cast in this role, is just disgusting. And I don't mean because it's just disgusting that they cannot let go of their need to shove their political agenda, shove their ideologies into other people's stories. They can't just leave it alone and make a good story. They can't just do the right thing and give us what we want.
I super hate you.
Stop trying to give us what you want. Give us what we want. We're the customers. We're the paying people who are going to pay for HBO. We're going to pay for the movie tickets. When you don't give your audience what they want and then your stuff falls flat on its face, guess what? That's your fault. That is not your audience's fault because you were trying to be too clever by half. You were trying to be smarter than your audience, which you're not. They've probably been fans of this work a lot longer than you. And even if you are a fan of it, that's even worse because as a creator, as someone who's bringing that to the screen, Your highest goal should be to try and create the world that J.K. Rowling saw, not the one you see. And that's where I'll leave it. And that's my problem with so much of Hollywood. I so rarely even go to the theater anymore because I can never just go to a movie without wondering, did they do this? Did they do that? Did they throw this in? Why did they cast that person? Because they were the best person for the job, or because they fit this quota that they were trying to meet? And I don't want to go to films where I see crappy people who got a role that they don't deserve because they had the right skin color. White, brown, black, whatever. I don't care what color your skin is. If that's why you got the role, that's a bad reason. That's a bad reason, no matter what color you are. But it's just, that's the world we live in. Anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this something you care about? Is this something that's really on your radar? And are you going to watch this? If they keep going down this road, are you going to watch this? Because I didn't watch The Rings of Power. I had no interest in it because it's not Tolkien. It's some other twisted, demented person's idea of what Tolkien is, and I don't care about that. I want to see J.R.R. Tolkien's vision brought to the screen, not yours. Not the directors, not the producers, not the executive producers, not the writers, not the whatever. I want J.R.R. Tolkien, not you. You're just a vessel for Tolkien. And if you take it any other way than that, get out. Same thing, J.K. Rowling, Dune, Frank Herbert. Doesn't matter whose work. If you bastardize it for your own political agenda, I'm out. I'm not interested. So go ahead, cast all these black actors, cast all these people that have no business being cast in the roles that you're casting them in, and see what happens. I mean, you won't get my view. I pay for HBO, but I won't watch it. I'll just skip right past to something else that I know that doesn't do this. And that's how I handle these things. Let me know what you guys think, and we will talk to you next time. Bye now.